I'm still playing Warframe.
Wow.
Yeah. So I don't know, I've been at it about a week or two, fortnight or so now, and it's still fun. It's got that the moment-to-moment gameplay is still very good. It's
That's
just
good. That's what you
very tight, sort of third-person jump around, shoot people in the face with shotguns, hit them with sticks type. The flow of it all. I mean, there's a certain degree of parkour to it. I can't work out how to do the wall drag run thing, but apparently you can do it. I've seen people doing it, but yeah. So and it takes up that sort of occupies that sort of 20-minute, half-hour spot of early evening or whatever before launching off into the big main event of an evening, like static groups or whatever. It doesn't seem to bear a sort of 3 hours solid play. You'll play one or two missions and then that'll do, go off and come back later, particularly the crafting. So you're sort of flying through all these different levels and attacking stuff, finding resource nodes as you go through and looting boxes and whatever, and that all feeds into this blueprint crafting system, which is where all the weapons and bits of new warframes themselves come from. And of course your overall player progression is driven by you maxing out ranks in various different weapons, which you get through the crafting. The crafting takes a while. For starters, you've got the rare drop aspect of the blueprints and the components themselves, which sort of definitely feeds into a kind of long-term game. But the actual business, once you've got all that, these things will take 24 hours to craft a piece of kit, so it's leave it, come back tomorrow type of thing. But yeah, still really enjoying it. It's starting to get harder, but also I'm starting to see the rinse and repeat nature of the levels pool, as it were. The stock of levels, because the levels seem to be kind of procedurally built as they load. You don't seem to end up with the same deck plan in two missions. The same mission attempted twice in a row will be different layouts, but they're made up of very, very recognisable room blocks that it seems to bolt together to make these levels with, and so you start to know where the barrels tend to be in a particular configured room and so on, and it sort of builds a certain familiarity with it. I mean, the tile sets vary as you go through the solar system. There's some outdoor ones on Mars which are all sort of red rock deserty type stuffs, and they're quite interesting and distinct. Getting a bit bored of the spaceship ones, because pretty much every planet has a couple of spaceships in orbit around it, and those will be levels as well, and those tile sets are getting a bit samey. But I've ended up in some place called the Void, which is like this big wisp of energy and light that hovers outside the orbit of Pluto, and there's a couple of locations in there, and that all seems to take place in some sort of very white and gold. It's like so Final Fantasy 13. It's like and it's like some vastly upmarket super posh hotel stroke shopping mall, and there's just all these gribbly monsters charging around and me blowing things up with shotguns in, and I just feel like I want to go back and apologise afterwards because I've messed the place up. There's quite a lot of interesting puzzle elements in there as well. I mean, certainly the spy missions, typically you'll have to go to 3 different computers and hack them to get some data, and those areas will take place in little set pieces through a manually locked door. So you zerg your way through the mission doing your usual crazy, and then you get to a point where you have to manually unlock a door using the hacking minigame, and that's relatively easy, but it's there to stop your flow, and then the Lotus says, if you trip the alarms now, they'll start deleting the data. So basically you end up with this small mini level where you have to try and sneak your way through the security measures to get to the computer and hack it without setting off all the alarms, or they start to get rid of the data. So that's quite interesting, quite variable. There's quite a few mission types in there I'm starting not to... Well, most of them I'm fine with. There's one called Interception, which has you... I'm pretty sure this is a poorly adapted group mission. You go in there on your own. You have to try and hold 4 different beacons, and the enemy comes in, and if any of them get near it, they take them back, and over the course of the mission you count up tickets. Very difficult with solo, and I try queuing for a pickup group, and no one seems to do them. There's this alert system in there. Every so often there'll be a big alert, and you'll get bonus loot and rewards for doing particular locations around the solar system, and those will be the ones people then queue up and do the pugs for. So you sort of guided by that, really. I managed to unlock a thing called an archwing.
Sounds fun.
It's a flying level. So it's a vehicle.
Does not sound fun.
No, it does not sound fun. The first one was all right. It was a bit manic. Suddenly you find yourself, for various plot reasons, you manage to get hold of a pair of like space wings that strap on your back and an enormous gun. And basically it's a bit like the...
Does it all look a bit anime?
No, the Old Republic, the on-rail shooter levels. It's a little bit like that. You've got a very long space corridor you have to fly through, and stuff shooting at you. I could see I could get a bit better with it with practice, but the second one of those I jumped in, you basically got to race down this thing, and there's these slowing you down snare mines all the way along that you have to shoot before you get to, and you have to try and get to the end before these enemy transports disappear. It's time-based, it's 3-dimensional, there's stuff going off everywhere. As a spectacle, they're fascinating and quite fun, but it's so different from the charging around with a shotgun or ninja sword or whatever that the rest of the game is, that you start to think, yeah, this does feel a lot like the obligatory vehicle level that changes everything and that people hate. So I don't know what the general opinion is on the Archwing missions, whether people like them or not, but it changes things up. I just need to practice the earlier ones a few more times, I think, get the hang of how it all feels, because it does handle very differently. You got this sort of infinite firing gun, and you can dart around at high speed, and they come at you from all axes. It's quite disorienting, to be honest, but it's the sort of thing you could get the hang of if you practice a bit, I suppose. I'm sort of chugging away through. I've still not found another Warframe yet, or enough bits to make a Warframe. I've got various, because each Warframe comes in 4 separate components: the neuroptics, the armor, the systems, and etc. So you have to basically find blueprints for 4 separate subcomponents and the materials to make them, then another blueprint to assemble those subcomponents together, and then suddenly, ta-da, a new Warframe. And that is your actual class, or you can buy it from the shop for money, that's fine. I'm trying to see how far I can get. They give you 50 platinum, which is their cash shop currency, to start with, and so far I've spent that on inventory space for more weapons.
Always a good choice.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of fluff you could buy with the platinum as well, but I think the inventory, I'm using that up on there. Eventually I'm going to run out of platinum, and I have to, I don't know, start selling off weapons I've already mastered, and so I've got room for new ones, or give them some money. I'm not averse to giving people money in cash shops, but I do like to get my money's worth first, if you know what I mean. Pay after rather than ahead. But it's not terribly exploitative if you're patient enough and happy with the basic kit you get to start with. If you like the basic gameplay, if you're not liking it and think that another class or different weapons might be better, then you can jump through the hoops and get the cash up currency and try and shortcut across. But odds are that it's the game is the problem, not necessarily your choice of class. I mean, the starter kit you get, the Excalibur Warframe and the Skarner sword and the Mark I Paris bow and all the rest of it, they're very decent. They're good kit, and there's enough weapons in there that you can buy for in-game money as well. I mean, you can keep progressing even if the choices of guns aren't as cool as you might like. But I'm just really loving it. I love the aesthetic still, just the look and the feel and the styling of it all. The graphic design behind it all, the production design is really quite novel. Yeah, it's a bit Final Fantasy 13, a bit weird, sort of organic space ninjas from the future. It's a bit Destiny as well. I think I need to actually have a proper go at Destiny just so I can know what I'm talking about when I make these comparisons. But yeah, it's that kind of thing, and it's quite unlike a lot of other stuff I've seen in your traditional MMOs. I mean, it functionally plays like any other action MMO, really. I mean, it's a bit like, I suppose, Division a bit, perhaps not quite as gun focused. It's a bit more melee focused than the Division, but it's that kind of immediacy to it rather than your usual MMO combat. Waiting for cooldowns to finish and dice rolls going on behind the scenes. It's very much more immediate, very much. But of course, the downside to all that is that because it is so immediate, it is very wearing. You can't. I just don't think I could do it for 3 hours of an evening. Just charge, shotgun. Recommend one of the buy for in-game money guns, the Strun. It's called. It's basically it's a 6-shot shotgun pump reload thing. Very powerful particularly against the infestation missions, which is a faction of gribbly melee things that just come running in. Shotgun for the job there. The right tool for the job. Very satisfying. I found a few other guns that are not quite as good. There's something called the Boltor. It's a very heavy machine gun thing, but it's just the per shot's not great, and you're spending a whole time reloading, so I don't know. But no, really enjoying it a lot. Still, I think I've made it up to about Phobos and Ceres now, just gone past Mars, so heading on to the outer planets. And it's starting to ramp up, starting to get trickier. I'm starting to, not quite as face-rolly as the early inner planets, and I'm wondering, is that because I've not got the right power progression, because I'm relying on in-game drops, or is it just because the game is going to get more difficult? Am I wrong in assuming I can get to the end of the solar system? Perhaps I'll get a point where it is just too difficult, where I might start needing help, or you have to start looking for pickup groups, or I mean, when you go from one planet to another, you have to go through something called a relay, which is like a big sort of Mass Effect style space laser gateway thing, and each of those is guarded by a spectre, and each of those spectres is essentially a variation on one of the existing warframes. So it's essentially you versus one other boss battle type thing, and some of them are really easy and some of them are really hard, and it depends on the strategy you used. The last one I think I was using to get from Mars to Ceres was something called Trinity. I don't really know what it is, but it seemed to be quite a standoff bow using character that was really just nailing me. And I took me several goes to try and work out what to do, and I ended up looking up. And apparently the Excalibur's number 2 hotkey ability is a sort of AoE blind stun, and I just stun locked it and wailed on it with a stick. I got because the Excalibur has a bonus for swords, because Excalibur, whatever. But I'm currently levelling up a bow, just basically a big two-handed stick thing, and I've got so many mods on there that adjust its damage type, that it's doing explosive damage when I hit people with it. It's very satisfying. Just running around wailing on people with a big stick, which is what is good in life. And I just basically managed. It's got all sorts of clever life drain and damage reflection skills, and really one-hit long-range bow and stuff. So I just ran in, blinded it, and then just beat it to death with a stick. And hooray, off to the next planet. So it seems like I'm getting to the point in the game where it's no longer sufficient just to run through with your primary weapon nailing stuff like it's any old shooter. I've got to start thinking about what are my abilities, how do I use the strategies and the tactics and the different weapons I have access to. I can go back to the ship and try a different weapon, come back. So I'm seeing that it does start to have a tactical and strategic element to the gameplay, which is not what you'd expect from sort of the early game.
It's unusual.
It is very Zergy, particularly in pickup groups. If you're doing these rift things to open your relics, you join a pickup group and just charge through. All the pickup grouping I've tried so far has been me basically following this trail of loot and trying to get to the end in, not slowly enough to inconvenience people by waiting too long. That's all I can hope for, really. But still very much enjoying it. It's just this little simple casual thing, your 15-minute mission, 20-minute mission, soloing through, zerging. You can play it for stealth if you like. There are stealth mechanics, there are awarenesses and alarms that they set off if they know you're coming, and the various weapons you can do silent takedowns with as well. So you can play it as a big charge through zerging shotgun blah blah blah, or you can try the sneaky shoot them with a bow when no one's looking, one-hit kill stuff as well. It sort of rewards both playstyles, which is odd as well. So I'm just still in the honeymoon period with it again, I guess. I was talking to, I think Wish mentioned, I think we were talking about it on Slack, and I think he said he must have played it before, and he said it's quite repetitive, quite sort of quite grindy. I don't know when he played it.
These games tend to become
I can see how it could be. I am still, enjoying the newness of it all, but I can see, the same missions come up. But I'm just quite enjoying the basic business of you playing those missions at the moment. That'll get boring eventually. Everything does, but for now, it seems interesting. And the narrative they've sort of tied all this stuff together with seems to work well enough. It's a pretext rather than it's not a Mass Effect style follow the story to the end and now you're done. It's here are all these rinse and repeat missions, and we strung a few of them together to make mini story chains, but don't read too much into it. Just go crazy with the guns and things. So I can see me playing that for quite a while, to be honest. It's a very casual fill-in game rather than a main event game. I'm playing other stuff as well, but this is good for those odd half hours. Like it.